Hello world, I'm on a boat, happily traversing Tokyo's waterways. Last year, I made a video called Tokyo by Bike. I did what I thought was an epic bike ride, traveling across Tokyo and back, covering 120 kilometers. Then I got a message saying the equivalent of,
Wonder how you keep going.
If you're gonna ride, Dano, ride in style.
Brian, aka Mr. Ramen Adventures, offered to take me on a private boat cruise around Tokyo. Since you're watching this video, it's obvious I accepted. Although saying cruise sounds a bit grandiose, given our ride was a small pleasure boat. But yeah, a bit more stylish than my mamachari I used to bike through Tokyo. Now, the one thing I have to mention right off the start was that I was thinking of this trip as a preliminary fact-finding mission, testing out the waters, so to speak. So while I was disappointed to see a big black piece of dust on my sensor, I wasn't too concerned because I'd be returning again to shoot. However, since you're watching this footage now, you now know that the trip never happened. Although I did figure out how to somewhat make that dust disappear when there was only the sky behind it. Yay for the dust and scratch effect. Anyways, Brian doesn't own this boat, he rented it from a local marina. What surprised me was that the cost was quite affordable. Including gas, it clocked in at around 15,000 yen for the 3-hour weekday rental. Split 5 ways, it wasn't much at all.
You can see fish. Oh yeah? That like are clean away from the boat, like little ones. Yeah. So apparently that's the Olympic Village right there. So apparently they sold them all for like millions of dollars. With the thing that you can move in after the Olympics. So now there's a big kind of an issue. People are like, no, I paid $3 million for this place. I want to move in.
That's the high-speed jet ferry on its way to the Izu Islands south of Tokyo. Yeah, oh there you go, it's going on.
Oh, look at that. Check out the hydrofoil.
If you're a keen viewer, you may have noticed that my family took this same boat on a previous trip. And you may also remember that I rode across the bridge. And I also happened to drive across it. And took the train across it as well. But this time, I'm floating under it. So not too far from the marina, we went under Rainbow Bridge and found ourselves at Odaiba. I've actually been on the special ferry that goes from Asakusa to Odaiba, which is a trip I highly recommend, but there's something to be said about going on a personal craft and going and stopping wherever you like. Going under the regular car and train bridges was really fun. You can see that there's only 3.1 meters of clearance, which is like 10 feet. This next one has got to be lower since Brian's head is almost touching the bottom.
Technically here, I'm not supposed to make wings.
Ah, got it. These water taxis were a surprise to see, because I've never seen them in use. Brian said that he only ever saw them in operation once. Now we were following some of the inner waterways that ring Tokyo Bay. When viewed from this perspective, it makes the city of Tokyo seem a lot less hectic. Brian explained how you can challenge the boat license tests for about $200 to $300. But if you go to the boat school right there, it'll cost you more like $1,500. That monorail is returning from Haneda Airport, and yes, I have footage riding it. You can find sluice gates all over Tokyo, controlling the water levels. I quite enjoyed going through so many of them during the trip. All throughout Tokyo, I constantly see these construction barges at work. I don't know specifically what these were doing, but in my area of town, they dredge the waterways and build walkways along the banks. And these are the equivalent of the flag wavers on construction sites that you see, except they're on the sea.
What is this? This is it's called a rabbit, but this is a guiding light for landing planes.
Ah, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Right now it may feel like the open ocean, but there are also areas you're not allowed to go, which is why there's this guard boat following us, making sure we don't cross the buoys. Off there in the distance is the Ferris wheel at Kasai Rinkai Park, which we'll be getting closer to. But what angle do you want? From the land? From the sea? From inside? I got them all for you. So this is the entrance from the Arakawa River to the inner canals of Sumida Ward. What you have to do is wait at this canal lock until it opens up. It takes a bit of time as they have to lower or raise the water level so your boat can go in or out. According to my camera metadata, we got there at 3:21 p.m. By 3:35 we were finally able to enter, so like 15 minutes later.
There we go, we're in. Green.
We had to wait for the indicators to say it's safe to go through. I had no clue that just anybody with a boat could go through, but you can, and we did.
Alright, come to your camera. Oh, you're right. Now we're inside the battle arena.
This big pole here that they're using is so that the boat doesn't hit the sides of the lock. And at last we were able to exit at 3:50 p.m. So altogether, it took about 30 minutes to get from one side to the other. I should point out that when we were in the locks, the battery on my new Rode Wireless Go microphone went out and I totally didn't notice. So no background sound anymore. However, this is also around the time that the camera was shook up enough that the dust spot finally dislodged itself. So you win some, you lose some. Now this was pretty cool. This little fish jumped right into the boat. After a bit of squirming around, we were finally able to get a hold. Google search tells me this is a mullet. Even though they jump right into your boat, no one would eat them. As I quote Brian, they eat detritus, so basically they're disgusting. But we must have hit the right time of the year because they were leaping around everywhere. I thought these fishermen were trying to catch them, but they were actually fishing for goby. Another creature that came aboard was this cricket. With a little bit of encouragement, it did fly home. This area was a giant slow zone, but that's okay. I had no complaints floating along. You can kind of feel that it's a bit rare to see a boat like this around the canals, and kids were happily waving at us. I love this pedestrian crossway. X marks the spot. And now it was time again to exit through a lock. Since it was already open, we believed the other lock called ahead to let them know we'd be coming through. So that was handy. This gesturing right here, that's turn around and duck so that you don't get your head banged off. You have to be extra careful with these bridges as the boat can barely squeeze under some of them. All along this route are cherry trees, so you can only imagine how beautiful it'd be during the spring, when all the petals are snowing down, blanketing the river in a beautiful pink. In fact, Brian said he specifically rents the boat during that time to enjoy the scenery. And this green gate, that's our home destination. All in all, it was a lovely round trip around Tokyo's rivers and Tokyo Bay. Special thanks to Brian, aka Ramen Adventures, for inviting me out. If you're interested in ramen, I'll leave the link to his channel in the description. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Peace.